Hmm? Yan. Hello. Good morning, Professor. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. Namaste.
Morning. Thank you so very much. Welcome to Virtual India. Yeah, everything is virtualized these days.
That's true. That is true.
What is the time there?
I brought it's 7:20 and I brought my colleague Pavlina.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen.
This much I know. Yeah. Yeah, Professor, go ahead.
Like to
Bettina, I think we have a little bit of connection problem.
And also, our time starts from 11. We tell from 10:45 for the arrangement of the session.
Would you like us to start or who should start to present?
Actually, the time starts from 11 and people keep on coming
meaning
till
8 minutes.
So we start from 11:15. You can log off and again log in. It's up to you.
What is hello?
Yeah, so
in
it's
how
like
many minutes?
in like 30 minutes, 13 minutes from now.
So in a half an hour.
No, 15 minutes. 1:5, 1:13. I say 1:3, not 30. 1:3, 13.
Ah, okay.
So in our
13,
watch, it will
okay.
be 11:5. Yeah.
Okay.
So you want
Good.
you want to swap your lecture. You want to change your lecture with another professor who is here.
So we are going to talk about what we are working on at our institute, at the Entrepreneurship Institute. So we are working on an international project, and we are going to talk about that.
Right.
How many people are you expecting?
It comes around 100, and there will be another 100 odd people in YouTube. This program is on live streaming in YouTube, so people watch from YouTube also. Yeah, if you want, you can log off for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Hello, Professor Pradeep. How are you?
Oh, Prajita, very good morning and
Good
very,
morning.
very grand welcome to you to virtual Kalyani University.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I think we would start in next 10 minutes, right?
Yeah,
And,
sure.
After the inaugural things that you would speak along with our VC, sir, then Dr. Bettina would take over. And, after that, I would join in, right?
Our honorable Vice Chancellor, Prajita, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, and so there are a couple of minutes from the Vice Chancellor's side, and then a couple of minutes from my side. Then we start.
Perfect, sir. Perfect.
So Professor Bettina is here, and then along with her, then I saw another professor also.
Yes.
So I think both will present.
Sure.
I think so. And then there is no interlude. I will introduce you, and we will go to your presentations
Perfect.
with you.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sir. I'm on the mute and I'm around. So I think
Yeah.
around 12ish is when I need to come online. Perfect.
Yeah, but you can watch. I mean,
Of course I
Professor
would, sir.
Bettina
Of
speaking
course
and
I
all.
would.
Yeah. But you
But
can
yes,
put up your video
camera and
and
video.
yeah,
Yes.
and you can do whatever you are doing, and then you
Absolutely.
can.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, we
Sure.
all do that, yeah.
Yeah.
हम सब करते हैं. So we all know. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, sir. See you.
Sure. बस पढ़ा लगता है कोई लड़का Raja, জাদু চা না কি বানাচ্ছিস বুঝতো রাখে ইয়েটা ইয়েটা ভালো কাপ দেবে তো কম হলে কি কাপড় বইতে রাখো Welcome, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Shankar Ghosh. Very good morning, sir.
Morning.
So they will join us at 11:05.
Okay. Wait, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, so good morning, everyone. And please give a big hand for our guest today, Dr. Bettina Mais and Aparajita Prasad, and I think Pavina. How do you say her last name?
Vujovic.
Okay, which is like Czechoslovakia sort of thing. Yeah, I am extremely happy to let our participants and the speaker know that our Vice Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Shankar Kumar Ghosh, he is a very renowned scientist in the field of genetics and biotechnology. He has patents and papers in all peer-reviewed journals, and he has many students who are working all over the world. And he is an expert in barcoding. He has popularized barcoding in India and elsewhere, and in different applications. So I request Professor Shankar Kumar Ghosh to welcome the guest and inaugurate the session. Please, sir.
Good morning, the coordinator or project manager of the, we have a career hub in our university, and this is a second series, webinar series, and the second day of talk. So during the COVID situation, we are all stuck in the home. So what we did that we want to get every week the web seminar or web sort of talk from the expert to make the ecosystem in our university, because lots of participants are there in different forms in YouTube and other places. So what we want to interested to make to develop the ecosystem of the career related part in our university. Our university, for the guests that I want to say, our university is a established in 1960. It is a big university. It is also a state university, and we have more than 3 lakhs of students in and around 2 districts of West Bengal, and we have a nearly 60 affiliated colleges and different institutions, and we have more than 40 different departments, and new departments we have created last year, like data science, genome science, nanoscience, etc. So this is the frontier part, and we have a very good academic excellency in our university. There is no question about that. We have a ranking within 100 in India. So, but what happened, particularly in a young minds in India, nearly 60 or 65%, they belongs to 30 to 35 years. No, to major share of the youngster that present in India, and we have a lots of bioresources, lots of opportunities, lots of resources in our country and in our places, So what is our idea to make the student, particularly the young student, to give some kind of feedback to them that this is a career hub is one of the most interesting component to build your career, not to try to make a job, but you can create the jobs. Lots of jobs you can create. The situation is that, and in that case, our university has created a entrepreneurship and career hubs, which is a lots of money that we brought from state government and central government, so that we can give some kind of ecosystem. First, we have to try to develop the ecosystem of the career part on that. So the entrepreneurship, the protocol and the process, really, I can say, particularly in Bengal, we are in energetic student and young minds, but we need to very much give some kind of boost to the student or outgoing student or different women's which are present in places. So our motto to develop a ecosystem over there, and also we try to also the building, that the career hub building is more than 20,000 square feet, is under construction, and we we have the procedure for incubation center, and also we want to give the seed money to get the business in that particular area, any particular area, either in biological science or really data science or society, whatever may be. We are able to give some kind of good resources to the student, as well as those who are trying to make the business as their career in the part of that. So we have a seed money, more than 1 crore of money as a seed money, so that we can give the those who are basically try to develop their career in this part. So our main job or motto for the university to make we are in academic excellence. There is no question, I told you, but we want to develop parallelly the career of the student in the field of entrepreneurship or startup business, whatever may be. So I really happy the Dr. Mojumdar has getting a very good resources throughout the globe, and that make our sense that what type of your experiences that you want to share, and so that we can get back to the student or other part. And I request all the talk might be recorded, so that near future other can be visible in that area. So it's a very good opportunity for us, and I really appreciate the process that we have started in the particularly career hubs. In these few words, all the participants and other, we are also going to make a certificate or diploma courses on this area, like 50 hours diploma courses in bioentrepreneurship or patent and this and that. During this lockdown period, we are not moving here and there, but we can gain the knowledge. The expert people, they can deliver the lecture, so and students can get the knowledge, so that they can make themselves to prepare in that angle. With these few words, once more, again, I thanks all the people, all the participants, and particularly the expert, those are helping to give this part to the society. It is a one kind of help to the society, basically. And with these few words, I hand it over to Dr. Mojumdar. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir. And I should introduce Bettina. I don't know much about Pavlina. I think she is a very good, impressive
we're going
data.
to introduce ourselves briefly, so
Yeah,
don't worry.
that's
okay.
good.
Yeah,
Good.
that's nice. That's nice. So very good. Very much welcome, Professor Bettina Mais from University of Munich, and her colleague from the same university, I believe, Pavlina Vujovic. I don't know, Djokovic I know, but I don't know what Vujovic. So both are very, 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 very grand welcome to virtual India and the virtual Kalyani University. So over to you, Bettina.
So I share my
screen.
Yeah,
you start. You are on. Okay. Yeah.
Good. Do you see the screen? The presentation?
Yeah. At least I can see.
It's nice. It's nice. Thank you.
Okay. So I have my dearest colleague Pavlina with me, because we're working on what we would like to introduce today. And from our perspective, that entrepreneurship education, so from the side of the university, the professors, the lecturers, the teaching assistant, but also, of course, the students, the people we are educating and helping to start their career, the education has to become responsible and global. This is our belief, and this is what we would like to talk today and have a little discussion about you. About you. So this is how I look like when I'm a little bit more awake, because it's really, really early in the morning. I'm a professor for entrepreneurship at the university, but also head of qualification at the Straschek Center for Entrepreneurship. We will introduce the center in a minute. My background is I studied communication and e-business at the University of the Arts in Berlin, made my PhD in business innovation, and was 1.5 years at Stanford in the mechanical engineering department with design researcher before I started my career at Siemens. I was 3 years in China, 5 years in Munich, and had an opportunity to work for quite a while in India. Unfortunately, not in Mumbai, but in Bangalore, in Calcutta, Jamshedpur, Chennai, and I also went to Delhi. But I know India is so big, so there's so much more to explore. And feel free to contact us. We're also on LinkedIn. But Pavlina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Bettina, and thank you, the organizers, for having the opportunity to present today to you the project that we have been working for quite some time. So my name is Pavlina Vujovic. You have been very close with the pronunciation of my name. I know it's not very, very easy, but I'm also in the same situation when I have to pronounce Indian surnames. So I hope you don't have this against me. So my name, as I said, Pavlina Vujovic. I work as a project manager for internationalization. I'm working together with Professor Bettina Maisch at the University of Applied Sciences, but also at Strašek Center for Entrepreneurship. I have a background in legal studies and English language and literature, and as well a master in Anglo-American theory of literature. However, my pathway or my roadmap was not, let's say, a very straightforward. So I ended up in entrepreneurship. I was also a founder myself, and previously worked with consulting companies, working mostly with companies and startups on providing funding opportunities for them, but also guiding them on their roadmap to kind of further development, and as well working in IT companies and different NGOs. I'm very happy that today we are at SCA both together, and we are working on a very exciting project together with about 16 different universities worldwide. And therefore, I take this opportunity as a good start to expanding collaboration also to India. So thank you very much for having me, and looking forward to this session.
Wonderful. So a little bit about our background. So the Strašek Center for Entrepreneurship is at the University of Applied Science in Munich. So this is our main building and core of our logo also. And what is important to understand that the whole university is in the movement, in the transition to become an entrepreneurship university, that entrepreneurial thinking and doing is the core of the overall university, and not just a part in the kind of a business area where entrepreneurship is often, or in the engineering area where entrepreneurship often has its place. So it's an integral part of the whole university. And as a University of Applied Science, the application is, of course, always very, very important. So that we are really closely working with industry and the startup, and that we're addressing issues in the society, if it's what's going on in, environmental studies, or you mentioned the current crisis with COVID-19. So you see there are a lot of challenges ahead, and we as an educational entity have to build up talents to address exactly these challenges. And because they are so systematic and they are global, everything started in China this time. Who knows where the next virus comes from, and it will come somewhere. It has a global effect. Pollution has a global effect. Hunger is a global problem. So we have global systematic problem. So we have to work together. We have to think and act in a global network. And this is why we see our core as an entrepreneurial university that address problems of society in an international context and internationally connected. This is our core understanding of the whole university, and not just the Entrepreneurship Center. But coming back to the Entrepreneurship Center, this is our core hall. We call it Creativity Hall. You see, it looks a little bit different. If would not be COVID, we would have teaching sessions and working sessions like that. And we are an independent institute at the university. And we are acting as a service supplier for entrepreneurship for the whole university. The university has 14 different faculties, various engineering studies, but of course also economics, social science. And it is our job to bring this entrepreneurial thinking and doing in all faculties. And we are building up the skills, the education, entrepreneurial education skills of professors. We are supporting them to understand what is entrepreneurship all about, how to nourish these kind of hunger to make something happen, to bring change to life, to build up their own, someone's own career or venture. And but also we are teaching. So we are working in several layers, and I will talk about that in a minute. But who is Straschek? Falk F. Straschek is our donor. He is an investor from background, one of the biggest and most important investors in Germany. And he wanted to give back after his career slowed down. I think he's still working. And it is his belief entrepreneurship transforms ideas and technologies into innovation. So it's the driving force for change in the society and to bring the new to life. And from his perspective, only through innovation can necessary continuous renewal of our economy takes place. So it doesn't matter if it's within a company or as a startup, as an entrepreneur, the entrepreneurial thinking and doing is the core for change. It doesn't matter if product, service, if it's organizational change, but this is the core of everything. And it's our vision as the Center for Entrepreneurship that we are educating these entrepreneurial leaders in order that they are creating the future that is worth living in. So we have this kind of understanding. It's up to us how we would like to have a future. So how should the future look like? And from our perspective, we would like to have a healthy, connected, peaceful and enjoyable future. And I think we all share that. So in the center, we have different areas. The most important one are qualifications, so the whole educational part, which I'm heading. Then, but of course, the startup incubator, where the transition is, okay, we have educated students. They are deciding they would like to start their venture, they want to become entrepreneur, and they can apply for our incubator. Then we're conducting research, and the whole international work and co-creation work with industry is also a department, and everything is highly interlinked, as you can imagine. A little bit promotion, what is behind qualification. So we have roughly about 1,500 students in face-to-face training, usually now, of course, online in Zoom, because we are also offering a massive open online course called Deep Dive, in which students from around the globe get an entrepreneurship training for free. So if you are interested in that, the lectures are in English. They are for free, and students and interested people from around the globe are getting in this kind of community and listen to our entrepreneurship lessons. And currently we have 3,000 participants in this kind of online training. Another part, of course, as I said, is the incubator, where we are closely working with startups, around 220 entrepreneurial projects a year, which is quite a number, and around 30 startups that are successfully launching. Many, as you see, there is also always a kind of a funnel that early startups or single entrepreneurs, they are recognizing my idea is not robust enough, and they are shutting their venture down, or they recognize it's actually not for me. And this has to be addressed too. But we are really happy to have a couple of really successful startup in our network, and we're looking to forward to have more. Research also, a variety, bachelor, master thesis, of course. We have 2 doctoral programs, and we are a part of several research entities, not just the Triple Helix. Currently, we're working in a huge project with partners in the European Union on entrepreneurship train the trainer programs. So you see it's a broad variety. Last but not least, and where we are heading today, we have a couple of international projects and a huge international network where we are seeing the collaboration on a global scale is so important for us in Munich, in Germany, because compared to India and China and the United States, Germany is tiny. It's really tiny. Yes, we have a robust economy, but who knows for how long if we are not addressing that. And it is our, not just wish, it is our action to broaden our network, to find vital partners in academia, but also, of course, in other accelerator, incubator, and in industry globally. A couple of companies and research entities we worked for, just to give you an overview. So as I mentioned, Munich and Germany is tiny compared to Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi and India. And but even because so, we have a really good ecosystem. We have huge universities besides the University of Applied Science, which is the second biggest applied science university in Germany. We have the Technical University in Munich and the Ludwig Maximilian University, which are the two leading universities in Germany. And they have also global recognition and global reach. We have big companies, big shots. You probably know BMW, the cars that are really exciting. In insurance, Allianz, in industry, Siemens, so really big shots with a global reach. So we have a really vital ecosystem and we have a lot to offer. But our partners are globally, our universities are globally, our students are globally, and we have to think, teach, act, entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship education also globally. From the content-wise, in the 1960s, we addressed mobility, of course, because of our automotive partners here. It's not just BMW, it's also, of course, the supplier. Audi is in Ingolstadt, which is close by. We have material engineering, environmental studies has been always a robust element because of the huge agriculture in Bavaria. IT and electronics also because of Siemens, and service and media, we have a couple of broadcast outlets here. But we recognized, especially in the early 2000s, yes, we have established companies, we have a good and robust infrastructure in place, strong trademarks, but entrepreneurial acting and doing is not necessarily in the core DNA of Germans. We are really cautious, we are often very risk averse, and when someone messed up something, meaning start a venture, the venture is not successful, there is often a lack of trust. You messed it once, you will never get a chance to put your foot in the door, something like that. And this is not helping when it comes to entrepreneurship, because the likeliness that an entrepreneurship venture is getting successful right away, quite unlikely. I do not know how many tries Mr. Musk had, but so many others, they had a couple of failures until they had a big success. And sometimes it's not just, the brain and the power, it's also luck. You have to be there at the right time. And the genius Steve Jobs, he had also a couple of unsuccesses, and we should not ignore that. So our cultural norms, our cultural DNA has been a barrier in this kind of direction. And we had a lack of venture money. For example, in Boston area, New York area, and of course in Silicon Valley, where this kind of venture ecosystem is so strong. And without the financial resources, no venture, that easy it is. We need financial investments. And you mentioned that in India, right now there is a lot of investments, and that's crucial, honestly. And also research, you mentioned you do a lot of scientific research. Also in research, systematically, it has been outlined universities need to be open and take a lead with regard to entrepreneurship education in their entrepreneurial ecosystem. So we recognized the need within the industry system. Politics recognized it. University proved that there is a need, and there is universities need to address that. And we see that also when a startup is growing and getting in the expansion phase, they have to become global. Markets like Germany, but also France and Italy, they are way too small to provide the kind of profitable market that is necessary to scale in a sense of an interesting startup for big venture companies. So here comes eBridge into play. So we know we have to be global, and because we would like to design a desirable future, a livable future, and how might we do that? And this is where eBridge comes into play. Pavlina, just let me know when I should switch slides, please.
Sure. Thank you very much. So with that in mind, with what has Bettina explained, Starship Center has been quite successful in the previous couple of years in cooperation on the EU level. So we have slowly but kind of surely started already somewhat 10 years ago, developing our international cooperation, and first on the bilateral level, on trilateral level, and there has been quite some successful projects like EU Excel, which was one of the flagship projects on the EU level, and was with the concern to develop new startups and to, of course, help them scale. On the other hand, we have also a lot of international boot camps, which we organize on a yearly basis. As Bettina has mentioned, also research projects on the EU level. And therefore, through this collaboration with the international universities, we have come to a same conclusion that, of course, all the universities, first and foremost, have to further improve their entrepreneurial formats, are looking, of course, how to internationalize and build new corporations that could support their students and that could support their startups, because most of these universities that we have been working with are entrepreneurial universities. And thinking about different things that all these universities have, we have seen that most of the actions are very much fund related, are very much dependent upon the funds. And most of the initiatives that are driving the entrepreneurship or driving students have, so to say, a beginning and end. So what do I mean by this? That the different formats that have been developed so far do not ensure necessarily that what we build, what projects that are built have a roadmap to kind of continue their path, meaning that if there is a good innovative idea that has been developed through international collaboration, very often these students, they meet on a one particular point, but then everybody goes to their own life, to their own university, and somehow this idea stays on just of the level of the idea. And with these kind of things in mind, we decided to build a new project, build a new initiative, which is a systematic and continuous approach to entrepreneurship, and which kind of presents a holistic approach to entrepreneurship and to entrepreneurial talents. And this is called eBridge Alliance. So it is a project that has been supported by the German Ministry of Energy and Economics, and that is done also in cooperation with two other universities in Munich area, which Bettina has mentioned, so Technical University and Ludwig Maximilianus, with the objective to further internationalize Munich ecosystem, but also build an international ecosystem. So our objective is how, through the collaboration with the universities, we can first and foremost scale our entrepreneurial formats and improve them through this exchange with excellent universities and universities that have a very long tradition in entrepreneurship, and to create together new responsible entrepreneurs, new startups, and help them through the usage of our resources together as a consortium, help them scale. And further on, next step is, of course, to create new business models. Because what we see is that on one side, of course, we are lacking in innovation. So if I can kind of simplify it in that way, but we are also very much used to thinking that all the innovation will always come from the industry partners who are very well positioned. Our approach, our logic is a little bit different, and thinking that the innovation will actually come from young, new generation of entrepreneurs, and especially if we want to look at the high scale of innovation, that we have to look into developing of new business models between startups and industry partners. The eBridge Alliance started as a consortium last year, somewhere towards the end of the year. And we started with about 10 universities and have gradually now expanded. So there is, I should have corrected this maybe yesterday. So now we are already with about 17 universities cooperating and going into this next semester. And how we work together, besides the universities, of course, there are entrepreneurship centers like Strashek Center for Entrepreneurship is a partner and a leader or enabler of this initiative, but also industry partners, startups, political organizations, civil society organizations. So we have recognized and we want to include different layers of our society into our initiative. Not only committed to creating new startups that are profit-driven, our objective is, of course, to create responsible entrepreneurs. That's why our leading thread are actually the SDGs, the UN SDGs, and we see more and more a need across the globe, especially in the COVID situation, that we have to start thinking about the impact that our actions, that our companies, that our organizations are making. So not just creating new, as I said, profit-driven entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs that will make an impact and work really on the challenges that our societies are facing on. We work on selecting each year one or more UN SDGs, and we take them as a thread to kind of guide our joint actions together. We started, as I said, in the last year, beginning of the year, with one topic. We are finalizing our prototype on the topic of well-being and health, whereas already for the next year or for the next semester, now starting in October, we have selected 4 topics that we want to focus on, and these being the food, mobility, circular economy, and life after Corona. So if you can switch the slide, perfect. So this is the existing consortium of university. As you can see, we have a very big concentration in Europe. However, we have expanded this collaboration also to the States, to Russia, Australia, Canada, Israel, and China. I have to say, in the past couple of months, maybe 1 or 2 months, I have had a lot of conversation and webinars also with partners from India. So probably around 10, 15 universities have already expressed the interest in collaboration. So we are gradually also working on, as I said, expanding this collaboration towards India. You can also go to the next slide. Thank you. So what is actually a sprint, or how we are doing this commitment to creating new startups? The sprint is a process that in our mind is always kind of short term. I would say that our process is actually a marathon. So it takes really a lot of time and a lot of commitment and a lot of exchange between universities. It is designed primarily for the students. We are looking into creating startups that are coming from the education, so that are coming from our universities, because it has been shown that in most of these entrepreneurial universities, there is around 70% of successful startups coming from the education. And this being one part, but our commitment also is if we already have startups in our incubators, can we support their further growth and internationalization using this network? And what does this mean? This means that we start thinking about this consortium as one big university or as one big incubator to which all different startups have an access to the market, have an access to facilities, have the access to ecosystem partners. And through this collaboration, we wish to help them grow to scale on a long-term basis and be, of course, sustainable. So the process consists of 4 stages. It is scouting through education. As I said, the education is a very big pillar. We go into the second stage, which is matching, incubation, and then co-creation and growth. I will go now a little bit more in detail what each phase means. Very practically, so each of the universities have the entrepreneurial formats. They have their seminars that are usually, they are project-based, they are interdisciplinary, and so all the different universities in our alliance committed to one topic that we have selected or 2 topics that we have selected, run the course towards creating teams that are working on challenges within these topics. This means, if you take into consideration that all in all, we have about 250 students, to 250,000 students in this entire consortium, this means really creation of a lot of national teams across the alliance, and then the best and the most committed teams and talents that really show the entrepreneurial spirit, that show the interest to the topic, and really interest for creating their own future outlook are taken into the next stage. In the next stage, we are looking towards what are these ideas that have been developed, what additional capacities and skills these national teams are missing, and we are trying to diversify the teams within this pool of international talents, bringing also early stage startups that are looking for new co-founders and further working on their business model internationally. The second part of the matching is not only matching teams, but also matching them with the incubator in which these teams, these ideas, projects have the best odds to thrive. Meaning that, of course, if there is a very good team that is working on something related to mobility, and if Munich ecosystem has these very strong partners that can help them grow, then it makes much more sense for them to work within Munich, and the same can apply to other ecosystems. And as I said, our commitment is not only to help them grow, but create new business models. Therefore, we are not looking only into B2B matching and really matching just startups and the industry partners, but how can we create new business models, new products and services through this B2B collaboration. You can also go to the next slide, Bettina. So this is our representation of our process. As I said, we have been doing the first prototype now. We are working at the moment with the final selected teams and kind of closing this process towards end of September, and then already starting in the beginning of October with this new batch with 4 topics. What is also very important, because in education, what we have noticed, there is a lot of exchange of professors, there is a lot of exchange and cooperation between the teams internationally, which serves, so to say, as a international validation, because our students and our teams, as well as our professors, have the opportunity through this collaboration to, of course, see how entrepreneurial education is being conducted in other universities. The students have the opportunity to work with world-class coaches and experts from other ecosystems, and as well see how are the solutions to these challenges that we face in our local communities or within the national border being solved also internationally. So it's a kind of very hands-on approach, but also very important approach for students, even if they do not want to continue working on their project. We know we end up in companies working with teams that we don't know. We end up with working in different international, very flamboyant contexts. And I think, which is a beauty, of course. I myself am also not a German, but I love working with new cultures and providing values and getting values from different cultures. But this is also something that they learn through this process, how to organize themselves, how to work internationally, how to work in different time zones. So all of these kind of small skills that we bring in also through this process. And the other thing that what we see now, and myself and Bettina, we are also providing space for the other coaches or for the other professors at our home university to take the classes. We are also returning the favor and doing the classes and introductions to other universities. So, in the Corona times, I think we are being very internationally mobile without changing the place where we are. And it's a kind of a beautiful and vibrant community. And this is just a start, as I said. Maybe next slide. So why is this relevant for the participation? Of course, this brings a lot of values for the university, looking to have stable and continuous international programs. So not just project-based programs with the other international universities. It brings value to the students in order to gain international experience, to have the opportunity to form an international startup, and to be and to have the access not only to their home incubator, but also be a part of an open incubator, having access really to the different skills, capacities, markets, ecosystems across the globe, have the opportunity to really engage with the industry partners and develop new business models. For the incubators as well, this is a big opportunity because the success also of the incubator and accelerator is directly proportional to the success of startups. So through this network, the startups have really an ability to internationalize and to grow. And finally, importantly for our regional ecosystems, you have said it very well, it depends on a lot on the investments. Our ecosystem stakeholders, if they are strong, they help us also grow. So bringing new international ideas, bringing innovation to regional ecosystem can consequently only support our regional ecosystems. And with this, I believe I would like to end this short snapshot of the project, but of course in later stages I will be open to questions. Thank you very much.
So we thought we're introducing how we're working, but I thought there are probably plenty of questions from your side. So, of course, we're happy to share the slide deck with you. This is our contact address. So when it comes to qualification in general, you can always get back to me. When it comes to eBridge, Pavlina is the person of contact. And for kind of educational formats on the curriculum level, my colleague Oliver May-Beckmann is the contact. We would like to introduce you just the platform briefly. So eBridge Alliance has the website, and our team members and also the educators, they have resources to share. So what are current online courses and digital tools to help the students to get the necessary content knowledge about methods, tools, how is need finding done, how should I prototype, how should I test, but also content about the topics Pavlina mentioned, future of mobility, food, nutrition, agriculture. Just let's have a look. So what are interesting reports, but also events that are globally available right now because of the crisis, which is on one hand, of course, a disaster because so many people are suffering and many people are dying. The kind of positive part in it is that so many things have to go online and are accessible for everybody in the world, which is really good. So you see, we are supporting the team in teaching, in getting access to domain experts, in getting access to the global incubator and funding networks, and also the teams themselves who got selected, who, as Pavlina said, are really the most promising from their attitude, but also from the kind of the idea level, what they elaborated. And they are always also looking for further talents in order to to scale, to make their idea happen. What I mean is that many of them are looking for data scientists, people who have skills in algorithm and AI, software engineers, sometimes product managers, but also product developers, designers. So also, if you are not interested to start your own venture or to be an entrepreneur, so you have you're an entrepreneur by yourself, a single entrepreneur, you can also consider just to support the startup and become a new team member. So this would be the variety what we have right now. And I thought maybe you would like to raise up some questions. This is why we're here today. So is there something in the chat thought-provoking? So, okay. Are there any questions? So just please speak up. Don't be shy. We're here at your service. Thanks, Pavlina, putting it in. Of course, you can also write your questions if you do not want to unmute yourself. Okay, so no questions so far. I think the next speaker would be Aparajita. I hope I didn't pronounce your name incorrectly. Pavlina, can you explain the term triaging?
I don't know where was this term taken from.
I just know it's in the chat. Does the term triaging? So I know triaging from COVID.
Yes.
But not in our context of eBridge or entrepreneurial education. So if you mean triaging in the COVID context, I think we have a medical doctor here. He would be a much better person to talk about that. So, hello. What are the top 10 career fields? In career fields in which way? So I think it's quite obvious that IIoT, industrial IoT and everything that is related to digitalization is in a very important career field. But it is our belief, besides the career field, the attitude is important. This is why we are fostering entrepreneurship and putting so much effort in entrepreneurial thinking and doing, because there's one thing that you have a career field and another thing that you have the drive to make something happen within a career field. And because of the global challenges, the SDG are giving a good orientation where a demand in talents is to address the global challenges in food, in water pollution, in climate change. So these will be definitely fields to make a career. But if you understand a career where you are able a lot of money, so it depends what a career for you is. For us, it is having a fulfilling job, to use the skills we have to learn by ourselves and to make a positive difference in the world. That is Pavlina and myself, we like to make money, so we have nothing against money for sure. But because we earned actually a lot of money, and we purposely went back to an institute at a university where usually money is limited, because it is very fulfilling to drive talents and to help them to make their dream come true. I see Mrs. Prasad is in. So I think you are the next speaker. Would you take over?
We cannot hear you. Unfortunately, you're still muted.
Okay. So good morning, Bettina and Pavlina. It was a wonderful session that both of you took, and it was so much energetic and so much, insights into it. I'm sure the students and others who have joined the session would have learned about the different ways the startup ecosystem work in different parts of the world. So it was very insightful and lovely to have both of you so early in the morning. I have been to Germany once, so and I was huge fan of the place, more so because of the cleanliness and other things that impresses the eyes at the first go.
Yes, please come all to Germany.
I was there once. I was based in Europe for a couple of years and went to Munich briefly. So yeah,
there's just one downside. We do not have the wonderful food from India, so you have to come and bring your food.
Of course, we would love to. We love to eat a lot of spicy things.
I know. I love it.
So it was actually wonderful. And, after hearing to what you guys are doing in the startup ecosystem there, definitely Germany, like you said, being a comparatively smaller country than us, but in a much advanced version. So if we look into the efficiency point of it, right, it's a much higher there. And that's one thing that we need to learn. That's one thing that we need to imbibe in our ecosystem. So, these kind of collaborations bring a lot more insights, and it's always wonderful to interact with people across the globe. And, I would catch up with both of you offline, and we'd see what more we can do from different countries to take things forward.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Thank you.
So now, I would introduce myself, so that, everyone can understand who I am and what's the background. Because at the moment, I can't see Professor Pradeep around, but I'm sure he would be somewhere here, at one go, I can't see that. So
I was out because of some network problem. I was not able to, we all happen to have that. So it's like, I thank you very much, Bettina and Pavlina, for their wonderful, wonderful presentations. And I would only like to request Bettina to keep her relationship with our university open, and so that we can have collaborations in very near future. Now virtually, and maybe when lockdown is over, there is a component of foreign collaborations in our uh, funding, program, which was heavily funded by UGC and other agencies. So we have earmarked amount of money for doing this kind of collaborative research work. So Bettina, please, how can we do that, and how can we?
So I think Pavlina would be the best person to. Oh, maybe I didn't understood your question. Can you say it again?
Oh, okay. So we want to have a collaborations with your university, and we have a funding of project also, which gives us room for collaborations with foreign universities and industries. So if we need to forge an alliance with your university, how can we proceed? Yeah, Pavlina also can speak. I mean,
Pavlina is the one to address. Actually, she is responsible for international collaboration.
Gladly. Yeah. So what we can do and what we are doing with universities. So we take the eBridge as a big project, as an initiative that we want to push forward for the next 10, 15 years, maybe, I don't know. As I said, we want to make it as an international program of all universities. But how we started with each particular university is really understanding on a particular individual case, what are the challenges and needs. So just for example purposes, with some of the universities that said, okay, we really wish to be part of this alliance, but we still need additional kind of capacity building. In this sense, we have been organizing and are organizing Teach the Teacher programs, educational programs for the incubator managers that are also impact driven. What we do also as a piloting thing, we can do an exchange with students and professionals where we work with the students on their ideas and also do the exchange of methodology. So this all serves, so to say, as a preparation to get into the eBridge sprint, because it's as I said, it's a really hands-on approach. It's an approach that really necessitates throughout the entire year of commitment. And therefore, and then once you do start within this process, it is not only a collaboration with SCE and Munich University of Applied Sciences, but a collaboration with all other universities. So in this sense, I would rather propose a follow-up action in which we can really do one-on-one meetings and go a little bit more into detail of how the education components are organized and so on and so forth. We have the next sprint already in March 2021. So because we are already now in this process with the fourth topic, so this will give us really sufficient time to kind of prepare the actions and the collaboration for the next year. This will be my proposal.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so welcome Aparajita again.
Yes, so just a second. So that's very insightful, Pavlina. Just one question: are you guys just do the collaboration with universities and academics, or also from the other private incubators and accelerators?
So we have the collaboration also with the private legal entities that are not attached to the universities, because we have this program when I was talking about eBridge. So it's one thing to create new startups, but also to enable startups to internationalize. And what we have seen is that, of course, there are also very well connected and successful incubators and accelerators that want to take part in it. So we kind of have expanded this collaboration also.
Super. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and that's so nice of you guys. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, do you have any further questions regarding entrepreneurship education or the program?
So thank you again, Bettina and Pablina, for their wonderful presentations and their, liberal hearts to reach out to us and to make a collaborations, because we are looking for collaborations. And entrepreneurship education history is very young in our country, and our visionary vice chancellor has realized that, and he has put that onto mark. And in Kalyani University, we are now baby stepping for that. We are in entrepreneurship education awareness stage, entrepreneurship development awareness stage. So we are holding various seminars, workshops, and like that. And we have seed fund to distribute among the new startup companies that are joining our incubator. Even our incubator is in a makeshift office now, and we will be having our own building and physical infrastructure dedicated to incubators or entrepreneurship center. And so that's where we are right now. So when you came at a right moment of time, and so therefore we need your close, guidance, your experiences, and your expertise in this field to make our entrepreneurship and career hub a very fruitful and successful one. Thank you very much. It's wonderful.
Thank you very much. So we'll unmute ourselves and thank you again. I think Pavlina, you have to leave, and I can be here if there are any further questions. And thank you so much, Pavlina. She just committed to join yesterday because it's her baby e-bridge, and I'm very happy to have her as a colleague and being so flexible and join this early morning. So thank you very much, Pavlina, also from my side.
Thank you, Bettina, and thank you to all the organizers of this event. It was really a pleasure to have the opportunity to present you the project, and I really look forward to our next talks and actions to see how we can really deepen the collaboration and start really working concretely. So thank you.
Thank you. Same here. Thank you very much. Welcome back.
Big greeting from Munich, and the only thing for the students, maybe I want to finish with this. I also come from a country where entrepreneurship was just kind of it's now on the rise, and what I really enjoy seeing, because you have these different American dreams, as I would call them, working in an institution where you have a stable job until the end of the year, or getting a lot of money at the corporate. What I see more and more now is that young people, this new generation of talent is really taking entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial thinking and acting as a plan A, not anymore as a plan B and C. And they are really creating jobs, creating the future outlook for themselves, and not only for themselves, but for others. And I really want to support you and this kind of thing. And to all of your students, also just kind of be committed to it. And it takes time, but the rewards are much greater. So with this, I want to end. I wish you a very great day ahead, and I hope to see you all soon again.
Thank you, and great weekend ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So, Aparajita, you were waiting not long.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I think you also enjoyed the session.
Yes, of course.
And let me introduce our next speaker, Aparajita Prasad. She is a wonderful entrepreneur with the education background of IIM Ahmedabad and many other good institutions. She is a go-getter and into entrepreneurship education also. She is connected to universities and colleges for entrepreneurship development program. And she also is the founder of our company MetaLink or MetaConnect.
MetaConnect.
It's like MetaConnect. And she also is the vice president of Startup Buddy. The name itself suggests that it's associated with helping and fostering, nurturing, educating the entrepreneurs. And I like to hand over the microphone to Aparajita and let her introduce and talk about herself for a few minutes, then start her talk today. So please welcome Aparajita Prasad.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for such a warm welcome and for introducing me to our students and other esteemed panel members and all those who have joined. Good afternoon, everyone. Now we just, as per Indian time, we are just getting on to the afternoon zone. Good afternoon, everyone. And as Professor Pradeep has already introduced me, but just let me give you a background about myself and my journey first. It's been a very interesting journey, as I would say. And, that would also give you an insight how anyone can become an entrepreneur. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. I come from a very typical academic and salaried middle class family. But moving on to an entrepreneurial journey gave me a lot of I would say a lot of feeling of accomplishment. And that's the story first I would share about myself. And then we would move on to what is the entire startup or entrepreneurial journey or ecosystem is there. And how, some collaboration from academic institute these days would help us take this further in the long run. So just to please you all about myself, Aprajita Prasad. I just shared my LinkedIn also on the chat segment. I hold around 15 plus years of corporate experience. I started my career with companies like Accenture, TCS, then moved on to set up the eValueServe business unit in the European office. I was based in Romania for a couple of years. Then moved back and joined Hydrick and Struggles, which is a NASDAQ listed players. So, learned the gimmicks of the game from the established players, and later joined a startup which was funded by a VC, Phronesis Partners, where I was the business unit head, and we started from scratch. And we went on to building consulting clients, including the big Bs like McKinsey, PwC, and others. So, I practiced my hands there. And then I moved on to start a consulting firm, which is called MetaConnect Consulting. And MetaConnect Consulting, as the name suggests, it's around 3.5 years old. And we started, I think, in May 2017 is when we started MetaConnect Consulting. So, after having worked, I was somebody who had a master's in biotechnology, like most of the people out here, since this is coming from the bio incubator aspect. So I had a master's in biotechnology. But when I moved into the domain of management consulting, that's where I realized that, I needed a degree in management or a more accomplished kind of a thing to be a consultant. That's where I did my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad and then moved on full-fledged with the consulting assignments. So as I told, as even Sir was mentioning, my tenure as an entrepreneur in 3.5 years the journey has been, I would say, overwhelming for me, a lot of learnings. And that's where I decided to share my learnings with all those people, budding entrepreneurs, or all those who want to get into the entrepreneur life cycle. I come from a parents, my mother has been a professor, my father was a state government. So we never had this background of what it is to do your own work. So what it is to have your own firm. So a lot of things. Even when I say that I dealt with the big Bs of the corporates, we were operational people. We never know what it is to run a business, what are the compliances, what are the financial aspects, all those things. We are delivery people. So the learning, the mistakes, the journey had been very enriching. And when I see these days, the kind of support we have from all the aspects, from all the facets, from the academic side, from the government side, from incubators and accelerators, there is a huge push what is supporting the ecosystem. And that's so wonderful to see that, now we have that platform where you could learn. You don't have to keep on trying and fall. You have people who mentor you. You have people who could guide you. And that's the budding stage where, as a country, we can look entrepreneurship as a career. Like Professor Pradeep was saying, we are in nascent stages of entrepreneurial mindset. Because earlier, what our mindset was, as we Indians, we were doing, we need to finish our education, we need to get onto a job and keep our future secure. But nowadays, a lot of shift or a drift has happened when the fresh people out of colleges, they think of getting onto the entrepreneurial path as a career choice. And that's where academic institutes like Kalyani University and other players who are encouraging these entrepreneurs' journey, e-cells or incubators, that's a very important step in the long run, because we are accepting it as a career path. So that acceptance is very much required. Now, one step backward, like Professor mentioned, I am the founder director for MetaConnect Consulting. We at MetaConnect have 3 different aspects of work that we do. First, business research. Second, strategy consulting. And third vertical, which is into startup advisory. So when we say about startup advisory, and since I'm also a vice president with Startup Buddy is a firm which is dedicated to all the startup entrepreneur journey, from the compliance, IPR, GST, taxation, and it's a very active player of ecosystem. So we help from everything from the ideation to the funding stages, across different stages. We also have those programs or cohorts that run through where people come, join those cohorts, 3 months cohorts, and move on to their next steps. In points that's important to get onto your business plan, idea validation, go-to-market strategy, or just find the like-minded people to have that founders with you. So those things are very important, apart from the mentoring that's required at the initial stages when we start our journey. So we do all those things in different phases depending upon the requirement. And with those associations, I have been very active in the startup ecosystem and on board of a lot of incubators and accelerators. So we keep evaluating, subjecting these potential startups to their next stage, whether they are in an early stage startup or in their growth phase, or connecting them to the angel networks or the VCs if they want to raise funds. So we help them across different segments. Now, when we talk about so much about startups, I assume, because there are a lot of people here who are early stage startups. So startup is not just having a great idea or a product. It's an ecosystem, it's a universe. And that's what I want to share with you all in a presentation. I'll share a presentation. Also, I would not read it line by line because it's a bulky presentation, but I would keep it as a yardstick and talk through the entire segment of it, giving you a brief about what exactly is, startup ecosystem and what do we need to do to understand the different components of this ecosystem. So I would request somebody to just give me a go ahead if they can see my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it is.
Thank you. So now when I talk about the understanding the startup ecosystem and the different layers, so let's look into it. When you come to us entrepreneurial journey, you don't have just you yourself. You are there in an entire ecosystem, just like we exist in a family. We exist in this country. So, and we work accordingly for our benefit and for enriching the ecosystem. So some of the things, this is a bulk slide of deck of around 60 pages, which are more than 2 hours. So I would just keep this as a yardstick to follow through. And I would talk about each of the different components components of the ecosystem, what it is, and how you should visualize it and take the benefit of it in your entrepreneurial journey, right? So based on my learning or my experience of 15 plus years, I have worked with corporates. But what I have seen in the startup ecosystem in last 4 years, closely in last 4 years, it's a very collaborative ecosystem. It's a very enabling ecosystem. People here are very helpful to each other. That's what my experience has been. And that's a very encouraging sign. So now let's quickly see what is a startup ecosystem. It's not just one entrepreneur, it's not just one company, it's not just about one product or one service line. So startup ecosystem is a composition which includes all the people, startups in their various stages, whosoever can be based in different locations, so that it creates a community. That's what it is. It also has, bigger companies who could be your potential client, the service providers, like your company secretaries, CAs, IT, all those service provider kind of things. Support organization who give you or aid you, maybe your suppliers and marketing agencies. Universities, definitely a big component of the system, because we have the incubators there, the e-cells there, and a lot of potential entrepreneurs coming out from there. Research organization, yes, for the product innovation, for the technology that your startup would have. Research organization are also a very budding point for the startup ecosystem. And the funding agencies. Last but not the least, the funding agencies are what would help you scale up your entrepreneurial dreams. So all these components, you cannot survive this ecosystem without the support of any one of these. This is a heterogeneous and very intrinsic mix of all these players, from your own firm to the service provider, the big companies, to the support organization, to the universities, to the research organization, and the funding organization. These all play a very important aspect in the entire ecosystem. So, why I want to emphasize on to different aspect of it is because unless you know where all you need to put your roots into, your connects into, your networks into, you would not thrive in the long run. Right. So, we all know at the end of the day, our network is our net worth. Right. That's how we function. That's how, anyone grow as a person, as a community, as a company. So these collaboration, like today we had our speakers from Germany, we learned so much from them, that what's happening in a different country, and we would pick the best from them. So collaboration, network is very important. More so in these post-pandemic era, when everything is getting digital, when everything is on this internet platform. So you need to have your roots deeper into the system, into the ecosystem, so that you are well connected with the people. So keep in mind, build your network in all these segments, as I would call, so that you are very much into the startup ecosystem. These are some facts that are there in the Indian startup ecosystem. We are third largest startup ecosystem in India, with a year-on-year growth of around 12 to 15%, which is next to US and China. Definitely, we understand that with the kind of huge population base or the population density we have, and the kind of support we are getting these days from the government, from the academic institutes, from the funding agencies. So we are coming up as one of the strongest and the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. Again, very important to see that the average age of founders, if you look into the fresh founders that we have in our entrepreneurial journey, is 28 years. As when we say 28 years, the shift is dramatically changing from the 40 plus years of founders to early 30s or late 20s people. This is because there is a focus on these entrepreneurship as a career choice. The university, the academic institute, the government, they are promoting. So the youth today is not scared to take up that risk. Once people finish their education, after a few years, 2, 3, 4 years of experience, they are ready to plunge or to take their entrepreneurial journey. That's a very, good change in the mindset. That's what is happening, that the young people are getting onto the founders' shoes. Then I would say, other things, a lot of currently what I would say, one of the stats again that we have in front of us is like most of the startups are in metro cities these days. 85% of the startups in India are in the metro cities. This is another data point which needs to slowly percolate down to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well. More so when now work from home or remote working is becoming the norm. Now when we are shifting to a different bridge model where you don't need to be present everywhere physically, this shift has to occur in the years to come. But right now, the most of the startups are based in the metro city because of the, a lot of support that is already, or the infrastructure that is already available in these cities. 700 plus startups arising from unicorns. When we say what's a unicorn, we all want to be a unicorn and get into the 1 billion USD club. But what happens post that is a lot of people from those firms also come out and they start their own. And since they have learned the art of entrepreneurship from a successful player, they are the serial entrepreneurs. And that's again like a nuclear chain reaction, I would say, that somebody who has been successful, has raised a successful startup, they go on and move to form another company, another company, another company. So that also generates a lot of jobs, revenues, and market potential. So that's also a very encouraging aspect these days. Now, being a huge fan of diversity and the women empowerment, I still see that the number or the percentage of women entrepreneurs in our country is very less. It's just 9% of the entire founder network or base. That's really not very happy at the moment, but I would still say with the kind of mindset we all are in an Indian society, it's a good trend. This would pick up with the kind of support government is giving in their schemes. A lot of schemes or benefits are given where women have the majority of stakes in the company, or a lot of loans, mudra loans, and other things are there to encourage women entrepreneurship in our country as well, or what we call womenpreneurs. So it's a lot more encouraging for women to come up and get financially independent, do their own work. So that's also a trend which has to improve. Currently, the percentage is low, but it's not that bad given the Indian scenario, because we still are comparatively beyond as a society where women work as compared to the Western societies. So these are some of the facts and figures that as a startup founder or an entrepreneur, you guys need to keep in mind, because these data points help you understand the basic nature of the ecosystem that you deal with. There are young players in the system, 28, 30 years of guys, mostly based in metros, some of them coming from successful unicorns, fewer females in the domain. There are 200 plus incubators and accelerators in the country. So when you understand all these, that how well laid the system is, you are more prepared to get onto the Indian mindset or the Indian entrepreneurial journey or the market. This is something which is not very relevant right now. Technological change, yes. Now let's get on to how to build a startup ecosystem. This is what we were talking about. That it is a mix of entrepreneurs, incubators, mentors, investors, service providers, all. So now let's quickly see who are these. You are an entrepreneur here in the startup ecosystem. You would need the help and support of incubators or the e-cells like we have here at our University of Kalyani. Right? So it's an incubator. What is an incubator? Let's also understand the quick difference between an incubator and accelerator. We all keep using these terms a lot in the ecosystem. Let's understand what exactly is an incubator and an accelerator. So when I say an incubator, that's more apt for early stage startups. When you just have an idea, or maybe even when you don't even have an idea, all you know is you want to get onto an entrepreneurial journey. All you want to know is that you have a passion to do something of your own. And that's when an incubator would be able to help you. They would help you streamline your ideation, your idea validation, you cross-check with the ways, whether it is doable or not. It would provide you with the kind of service provider or the support system that you need, whether it is IT or people of the like-minded people, co-founders, technology, all those kind of support. Also, some of the schemes or seed funding, that's where you can take the help of incubators. On the other hand, when we talk about the accelerators are a little advanced in the journey of a startup. It's more so aligned towards the growth phase of a company, when you already have few of your ideas ironed out, your ideation stage is done, your product is ready to roll out into the market, you have a few of your clients or customers already there, all those streamlining is done, and you're ready to take off to the next level. That is a growth level, as we call it. And you need support of strategic tie-ups or funding. That's where accelerator comes into play. They help you connect with the VC firms, venture capitalist firms, the funds or the angel networks, angel investors who want to invest in you in turn of your equity or debt, depending upon how the terms are laid down. So that's the basic difference between an incubator and accelerator. One is for a very early stage startup. The other one is for the growth stage startup. And there are, again, few players which are a blend of both incubator and accelerators. Like I said in my earlier slide, that in India we have more than 200 plus established or recognized incubators and accelerators, and there are their published list of these as well. In case I can share those with you all as well. That's the another segment of the ecosystem, as we call. The next comes the mentors. It's like in India, as we call it, we have given the place for a mentor or a guru much ahead of anyone else. And trust me, guys, a mentor can help you make or break your startup, because he or she would come with a lot of experience, a lot of understanding. He's an expert in that space. So the idea of how things work, why do we need to reinvent the wheel? No, if somebody already know how something happens, let's just learn it from them. So a mentor would help you fine tune or validate your product, your idea, your marketing strategy. And these days, a lot of seniors from the industry are very happy to be mentors. So look out for the right mentor for your firm. That's very important. Right? Investors, as we said, one of the key players in the ecosystem are investors. Investors could be anyone. There are times when the government invests. There are times when private players invest. There are times when big companies invest in you. Or there could be times when angel networks or family-run businesses or angels invest in you. So whosoever is giving their money into your firm to grow, the investors are important. I would not say that getting funded or invested is the only mark of being successful. At a very early stage of your startup, never get onto the funding. Why I would say? Because that's a time when you should not dilute your stakes, when you should not dilute your equity. Because if your idea is great, it would, the valuation would increase once you're into the market. So why to dilute it at a stage when you can thrive from, the seed funding, or from, bootstrapping, as we call it, putting money from your own pockets or borrowing it from friends and families. So initially, at a very early stage, don't straight away look for funding. Manage with the seed fund, from the schemes, from the supports, from your friends and families. Also, funds or angel networks or VCs, they would also see that what have you done in your early stages, right? If you yourself have not put in your money, that means you don't value your idea. So if you are not valuing your own idea, why would VC fund you? So if you can't have trust in your idea, why would somebody else would have? So it's very important to put your own investment, your own money at a very initial level. That's also one of the very stabilizing strategy to give confidence to your future investors. So keep in mind that getting funded is not everything. You need to be successful, because whatever funding you are taking, it's not free of cost. You have to return it with interest. You have to dilute it with your equity. So funding comes with its own challenges. So keep it for a later stage when you're out in the market. The next important aspect that we called about the service providers. When we talk about the service provider, we all know that, once we have a firm, we have an incorporation done at Ministry of Corporate Affairs, we get on to get our firm registered. And all this work or processes are done by company secretaries, right? We cannot do it on our own. So the company secretaries, or the annual filing, which is signed by a CA, so chartered accountant. So the CA, CS, they also hold a very important place in the ecosystem. Most of us know that, as soon as we incorporate a company or a startup, we need to appoint an auditor within the first 30 days. That's a crucial norm from our ministry if you want to work in India. So that your firm is compliant, so that all your filings are done properly. Right? So it's very important to stay compliant to the rules and regulation of the country, because otherwise you would not thrive for a long time. So when we talk about the service provider, all these CA, CS firms who help us with compliances, GST, audit, financial transaction, firms like Startup Buddy, they are basically a provider which enable you to run your business. Then there would be other players like, you would need some IT players who would help you do your website, your other technology, if you are a technology platform enabler, to generate those platforms. So they are integral part of the ecosystem, who are called the service providers, and you need them to run your businesses. They are the functional components of the ecosystem. Next, like we talked about the universities. Yes, universities are from where are the place from where the budding or the entrepreneurs or the founders would come into play. They are also in touch with a lot of those research institutes or organizations where product or idea generation is happening, right? Product formulation is happening. So that's where they are the real, I would say, the brains that's there, who would get onto the entrepreneurial journey. So a lot of work, and these days government has also made that every university should have a e-cell or an entrepreneurship cell in their facility. So that's a very encouraging sign. So we have to be in close cooperation. Even if you have started on your own, you would need your team players, you would need freshers, you would need more people who understand the entrepreneur mindset and join you as a team. So that's, again, you would pick from these incubators, universities, e-cells. So they are the suppliers to this ecosystem, I would say. Another thing very important in the ecosystem is associations or events. So events like this, right now what we are having on this platform, this is also a very integral part of the ecosystem. Earlier, which we used to have those physical events. What happens in these events or association is you get to meet people who have similar thoughts. That's how you network. That's how you meet like-minded people. That's how you find your tribe. That's where you build connects to grow further. So these events association or these days the online sessions, they are not just for like that. They have a lot of potential if utilized properly. You can build a network, you can gain knowledge, you can leverage it to build professional connects or strategic tie-up for the long run. So very important player in the startup ecosystem, these association and events. Corporations, yes, when we talk about corporations, like I said, the big companies, corporations or the big players, they are at times your potential clients. They are at times where you would be selling or buying your goods from. So they also have an impact on how you would function, because they would be either your supplier or your buyer, from both end of the demand and supply of the game. And any business is just about demand and supply. You would receive some ingredients or inputs to give you finished products, or you would be making something to reach to the client. So you have to balance both sides of the game, whether you're procuring it from somebody or you're selling it to somebody. So corporations or the firms, when you do B2B business, it's very important to have those connects. So it's not that established players have no role or play in the startup ecosystem. They are also very important member of this entire ecosystem. And last but not the least, the government. Definitely government is everywhere when you want to do business in a country. Government has come up with amazing schemes these days, with this concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat coming up. A lot of focus has been moved to, make in India and local, vocal for local kind of concepts. A lot of funding, a lot of support government is giving. Niti Aayog has come up with this Atal Incubation Mission coming into play. The kind of loans that you can get, the Mudra loans, the women entrepreneurs loan. So government is definitely important in encouraging the startups and also influencing the startups. A lot of smaller things keep happening that, up to this much amount, recently the government gave a circular that, up to 40 lakhs of annual turnover, you may not have to get onto your smaller GSTs, but one annual GST and things like that. So government influences the startup ecosystem big time, because, at the end of the day, that's where the regulations and everything is being formed. So all these components are the key players of the entire ecosystem, and that's where all your entrepreneurial journey, as the topic of the day is, entrepreneurial journey is all about how you handle these players, right? So that's in a nutshell the entire entrepreneurial journey, about what I briefed about. The next few slides would be just a repetition of them, which I would skip because we anyhow talked about it. So I would just briefly walk you through, because as a speaker, I like to walk through the entire concept more than just reading onto a slide. So I would just briefly move to the next few slides quickly. Ideation and business plan, definitely at a very early stage of your entrepreneurial journey, you need to do your idea validation. You need to have your ideas screened out. You need to see the sanity of your idea, whether what you're saying is doable or not, whether what you are trying to find out is scalable or not. Because end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you are there to do business. You are there to make money. You are there to grow and be successful, right? So if say, for example, I say I want to go to the moon, whether that is doable or not, whether that is scalable or not, right? So how do we quickly? I'll tell you how do you ascertain your idea validation game. This is a very smart way of doing. First, just check: is it an important problem? When we talk about is it an important problem, that gives you the scale or the bandwidth of the potential market size that you can get into, right? Say, for example, I make an amazing product, but there are no buyers to it. I would not be able to do a great business, right? So to ascertain that, we need to see if it is an important problem that the sorry, excuse me. Excuse me. So whether is it an important problem that my potential service or the product is solving, right? So check the sanity of it. Is it an important problem? Second, is it something that you like to do on a daily basis? This again gives you the frequency of that problem. And again, with that frequency, you would get onto the scalability of it. With the market size, how much you can grow. And third, do you have an understanding of the problem, right? Do you have the skills required to solve that? There could be something, say, for example, from biotech perspective, you may not be having the expertise to do a fintech work, or a fintech person cannot have the understanding to prepare a vaccine, right? So we also need to incorporate whether do we have that skill set or not. So 3 important aspects that you need to check while doing your idea validation is whether it is first, whether it is an important problem. What is the frequency of second? What is the frequency of doing that activity? And third, whether you have the skill set or not. The first 2 would give you the market size. That is the market that you're giving, the demand side. And the third, your skill set gives you whether you can supply to the market or not. Because that's very important for your success. If you don't understand it, you would be taken for a toss. So validate your idea or your concept with these 3 important aspects, right? That's the quickly that's I could talk about, because otherwise we would run short of time. So again, this is interesting. I would love to talk about it. Now, once you have that idea, 4 very important and smart tricks that I want everyone to understand here is, while validating that idea, is be proactive. Talk to people. Nobody would steal your idea. It's always about the implementation of that idea that would make you or break you. So be proactive, talk to people, because that would give you the smaller nuances to fine tune your idea. So, be proactive in your talks. Consider your skill set. Yes, we talked about it, whether we can implement that idea or not. Third, analyze existing products. When we say analyze existing product, it's also doesn't say only the successful product, but also the failed products, because the failures would save your time in those parameters, right? So do understand the failed products as well. Now, last but not the least here, collect ideas. You cannot force your mind to hear or bring up with some idea. So, keep collecting ideas. All of a sudden, you would see the beauty of the, the linkages. So while doing at an early stage, ideation stage, keep these 4 points in mind. Be proactive, consider your skill set, analyze existing products, both successful and failed, and keep collecting ideas. Now, business plan, I would skip for this time. Business plan is very important, and it's a long discussion. What is a business plan? But guys, definitely you need to, at an early stage, you need to have your business plan intact. Compliance and regulation, IPR, very important aspect. Seek help from your service provider to get yourself compliant with all the regulation and IPR. Else, you would be fighting battles which are not worth. Product development and challenges you would face in your entrepreneurial journey, definitely a lot of them, and you can tide over these with the help of the mentors that you would have. These are very detailed discussions that not very important at this entrepreneurial journey, and with the time constraint that we have, I would skip these at the moment. Go-to-market strategy, again, very important, because howsoever excellent your product is, howsoever great your product is, if you don't market it well, you would be failing. So guys, in your entrepreneurial journey, give good importance to the marketing. Don't be shy that oh, my product is amazing, I don't need to market it. No, not at all. Marketing is the keyword the moment you get into the business. And that's where I'm saying you may be a great person for your product, but you are no more a technical person the moment you get onto a entrepreneurial journey, and you are a businessman then. And into the business arena, you need to understand how business is done. So it's businesses, like I said earlier, it's not just about your product, it's about business. Correct? So do have a go-to-market strategy. The pitching, yes, definitely pitching is important once you're in your growth journey. And then I would suggest that when you are in a stage to pitch, whether it is to the investor or to the client or the customer, take help of those people who are an expert in making those pitch decks. Say, for example, we at Meta Consulting, we do make a lot of ideation documents, go-to-market strategy, pitch decks, financial modeling, investor documents. So there are people who are doing these works day in, day out, and they understand the pulse much better than what as a newcomer would understand. They know how it has to be presented to an investor, how it has to be presented to the customer, so that there are better returns of it. So when you yourself cannot do it, take help of the professionals. They would help you prepare up a great pitch deck, and that's the key formula for success there. Again, financial projection and getting it right is something when you want to get to the entrepreneurial or the investor journey. Scaling up growth, we talked about it. That's where accelerators help you guys and how funding happens. This is a snapshot of how funding is happening. Some of the funding, crowdfunding, accelerators, angel investor, incubator, venture capitalist, government program. See, we talked about each one of them, how they work. We talked about the Mudra scheme, incubators. A lot of incubators are there. Angel investors, both in the personal capacity and the angel investor networks, Indian Angel Network, Mumbai Angels, a lot of those players are there. So that's when it's required, when you take it to the next level of your entrepreneurial journey. Growth versus scaling. Yes, in your entrepreneurial journey, you would also see whether you're just growing or you're scaling. The key difference with growth is that scale is achieved by increasing revenue without increasing a significant cost, right? So you are growing when you are, you have already invested and then you are just reaping the benefit. That's where you are scaling up. Your capital is invested once, all your platform is set, and then what you make, when that's the scaling up stage. Growth is when you are putting your capital also and you are growing, you are scaling also. That's the growth stage. But when you are saturated with the or you are done with the platform or the investments, and then you're reaping more revenue, that's the scale up stage. So these things are very important to understand how things function. Now, this innovation and entrepreneurship, this is what we all have been talking throughout the journey. Entrepreneurship is the very important facets, the way that technology is helping you in your entrepreneur journey. You cannot sideline it these days because everything is digital. It's not just companies or incorporation certificate that is required. You need to have a web presence. You need to have a website. You need to have a social media presence. Depending upon the kind of work you do, you have to be on LinkedIn. You have to be, if you're into a jazzy business, you have to be on Instagram, you have to be on Facebook. They are like your business addresses these days. The website is a must. And create it not just half-heartedly. Put your heart and soul into it. When you define your logo, give due importance on the ways you define your logo. It should reflect the soul of your firm, right? That's very important, because that, when you see this small logo here on this page, MetaConnect Consulting, I personally, I have designed this myself, and it had that soul that I wanted to come through. Meta Connect, when we are saying we are connecting the dots, when we are connecting different aspects. So here you would see that's how it's connecting the different aspects of it. And meta is the entire, the meta concept. So your, the name, business name, and the logos, they should reflect the soul. That in one word, if I say to somebody, Meta Connect Consulting, it gives you a vibe that it is into a consulting business where, different platforms are being connected. So, something that the people, audience, client, customer, investors, they relate to it. So give importance to your name, your logo as well. And please, please, please get it trademarked. Please get your technology patented. These are very small things, but very important in the long run. Another very important aspect that I would quickly cover here is human capital or teamwork in a startup. A lot of times the data says 70% of the founding team splits. It is very important to keep your team intact. It's only about, like I said, nobody can steal your idea. It's just the implementing team that helps. Right? Even when the investors get into the picture, they invest in the team because they look into who are the people behind it. How much passionate are they about the idea? Because they would be the one who would be implementing it. So give due importance to the founding team. It's important to keep a balance in the team from different people, different kind of people. There has to be somebody who understands the finances. There has to be somebody who is great with the marketing and the supply chain side. There has to be somebody who understands the product or the technology well. And what happens many a times, you may not have in your core team, you may not have all these aspects very well covered. So that's where you look for a co-founder as well. And having a co-founder, when you get onto these platforms, the incubators or e-cells, you interact with like-minded people. And I have seen a lot of people, they come together, when they meet at such places, because they say, oh, the other person is also working on similar kind of ideas. Why don't we team up together? So look for a co-founder if you don't have. A single person company does not run very high, because no investor would fund you, because end of the day, a single person company runs on the whims and fancies of one person. Or say, for example, what would happen if that person, unfortunately is no more? The investor's money is gone. So investor always invest in a company which is more than 2 people. That's the very important. 2 to 3% has to be there in the co-founding team. So look into the founding team aspect as well. Very importantly, we covered these team dynamics, team building, incubators and accelerators. Yes, we talked about them in detail in the beginning, that what is an incubator, what is an accelerator. So, with those things, I think we are towards the end of the time. So I would quickly close these and come up with, set the stage up for all the possible questions that you guys have for me. And I would love to answer all of them.
Thank you, Aparajita, for a wonderful, wonderful talk. That consists of all the primers, all the promoters of this journey, entrepreneurial journey. And entrepreneurial journey of Kalyani University has just begun. We are into entrepreneurship development program in the awareness stage. So we are baby stepping. And our Vice Chancellor has many times mentioned that we have seed fund from the government agency. We received the fund, and we now will disperse those funds. But before doing that, we want to make sure, we want to ensure that it doesn't fall into a ditch. It doesn't go to the wrong hands. because that seed money which you are getting from the university, entrepreneurs in center, hub, it's not for your expenditure. It's not for using a loud microphone and do dancing with your bodies. No, that is not for
Yes.
that.
Yes.
It's
Correct.
given on your idea to give a chance to you to translate your dream into action. So we are going to start on 18-week certificate course. Do keep us watching. We will send the information all around, global informations and all other informations through that. And as a part of that, the star performers are coming to you as we have listened and watched three wonderful speakers actually. Pablina was a great speaker who joined us in this fray, in this endeavor. And thanks to Bettina and Aparajita for their wonderful presentations. And now I can ask students, startup aspirants, if they want to have some questions, or any audience from audience, anyone can ask any questions either in English or in Hindi maybe. I don't think Aparajita knows Bengali.
No.
But she knows Hindi
I
very well.
understand. I
So
understand Bengali, but I can't speak much.
yeah, so you can ask him in Bengali. I can, मेरा जो टूटा फूटा हिंदी है उसे मैं translate कर सकता हूँ. So it's like that. The house is now open for discussion. Thank you again.
So I would love to raise a question. At my time in Delhi, I was lucky to get to know the former CEO of Google India, and he gave us a quick kind of interview, and he encouraged the students we worked with to work for, not for India one, the big cities with so many educated people with access to proper healthcare, education, to industry. He encouraged the student and the entrepreneurs to work for the more rural part of India, where still a lot of very dramatic challenges are occurring. So, and India is so big, the cities are big too, but India itself is so big. So how to bring the more rural part of India in this ecosystem and raise the level of wealth also in these areas?
Dr. Bettina, that's very important facet that you have brought forward. And like we talked about in our session earlier, 85% of the startups are based in metros. That's not a very encouraging thing. And now percolates down to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. A lot of firms or policies are coming up to encourage the agri-based system, to get into the self-help association where women founders are encouraged, because those are the key things that could take you to the rural segments. That if you encourage the cottage industries, if you encourage those artisans and the craftsmen, and then you bring them and sell it on the e-commerce platform, so that it gets to the root of the people at the rural India. There is a lot of talent, and one of the beautiful thing what has happened post pandemic, every dark cloud has a silver lining. I will that with the technology being imbibed by earlier not very techno savvy people, as I would say, now it is moving to a digital platform, and that would encourage people from the rural background or the tier 2 and tier 3 cities to come to the mainstream of entrepreneurship or to sell their services. Otherwise, this IT integration or getting digital is very important, where these things percolate down to the rural parts, because they are the provider, they are the suppliers, but the major buyers would remain in the cities. So this is the bridge that is being worked out. A lot of schemes have come up from the government these days, but still it's a long way till the implementation is done. But yes, I see a good change that's happening. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see that more people come down from the rural parts of the country, because a lot of our population, more so in India, live in the smaller cities.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I have to sneak out, but I'm so glad that I listened to your talk. Thank you very much, Professor Matsumura, to invite me for the presentation, and thanks to all the students listening. And thank you, Mrs. Prasad, for your wonderful talk. I already sent you a LinkedIn message because I would love to have your slides and stay in contact with you.
Sure.
So thank you so much. And
Sure.
have a wonderful day. Stay healthy, and sorry for sneaking out.
Thanks for joining and listening to my session. Take good care, stay healthy, take all precaution. And the Indian namaste.
Bye-bye. Namaste.
Bye. Bye. So do we have any more questions, Professor? Or I think we managed to, stick to our time schedule. Sir, you're on mute. Sir, you are on mute. So guys, in case you have any more question, feel free to ask, or I can be reached out very easily on my LinkedIn. I have already shared that. Let me share that again with you guys. And feel free to reach out to me for any of the startup support that you would be needing in your compliance, IPR, business plan, pitch deck, marketing strategy. And we as a firm, we do those, and we would love to associate or help you guys with anything and everything that we could provide to you all. Also, feel free to like or follow our company webpage on LinkedIn. We keep coming up with similar kind of sessions, which could be really helpful for the entrepreneurs inside you. So, go for your dreams. Entrepreneurship is very enriching in the long run, very soul quenching, and not just for you. This is what would bring India at a much more economic stability. So go for it, chase your dreams, and we all remain for your as stand-ups for your support. So all the best, and thanks, Professor, for inviting me to interact with such lovely audience and be a part of you all. Would love to collaborate in future for whatever support I can give from my side. Lovely to be with you all. Thank you, sir.
বলছি এখন তো ভাদ্র মাস না, ভাদ্র মাস এখন সময়টা ভালো না।